Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Alrighty everybody, before we get into my January TBR, we are going to talk about, well, I guess another part of my January TBR, which will be a readathon. So I am so excited to announce the Rake meets the Bluestocking Readathon, which, if you can't tell maybe from that title, will be a historical romance readathon happening in January. So I'm actually going to start with talking about that real quick. So I, of course, as well as a few other creators here and on Instagram, have been a little bit sad about the lack of historical romance going on right now. There is a lack of new ones coming out. There's a lack, in my opinion, of quality happening. But one of the things that I do not underestimate is the power of the internet and certain social medias to make trends come back again, okay? It's happened with clothes, it's happened with music, and it's definitely happened with books. There are books that are 10, 20 years old that have literally gotten new life, have gotten movies when movies have been pushed off for years, and have gotten, you know, just picked up when the right type of people hear about it. So one of the things that I'm determined to do is, at the very least, not let my love of historical romance die, and that means passing it on to you guys. And I also just believe that there are some amazing stories that even I haven't read yet, that if they caught the right person's attention, they could make this all just change around, because it absolutely can. It is not dead and it won't stay dead. And even if we're in a phase where maybe, let's say, it's sleeping right now, it's not going to be gone forever. I refuse to believe it. I myself have hundreds of historical romances on my shelves that I haven't read. So I was really wanting to do a readathon focused on historical. Now, a few years ago, there was a pretty well-loved historical romance readathon that was done by a few booktubers and Instagrammers. And it was wonderful. I participated in it pretty much every time that they did it. Love it. And there is no, I don't have a single bad thing to say about that, except that it stopped. It's not happening anymore. But I know that I'm someone who likes doing readathons, and I have friends who like historical romance. And so one of the readathons I want to make a regular thing again is this one. So we didn't want to just call it the historical romance readathon, because I'm not trying to, you know, step on anyone's toes or rename, and they probably wouldn't even feel that way. I wanted it to be clear that it's something different, but yet that's what we're going to do, is read historical romance, okay? So I have a historical romance book club, my shirt here that I have with Crystal from Crystal's Bookish Life, and some of my friends who are actually one of the ladies who originally hosted the historical romance readathon. There is another book club called the Bluestocking Society that Rachel from Rachel Reads and Sings and Lisa from Remarkably Lisa have, that they host together. And so I reached out to them, Crystal and I did it, and we're like, would you like to co-host a readathon together? And they both said yes, and so we're gonna do it. And I wanted to come up with a fun name, so I know that it is a mouthful. You can call it colloquially a historical romance readathon, but I wanted to come up with a fun name. And so I came up with the Rake meets the Bluestocking Readathon, and we played around with some different names, but this is where we ended up. So it'll be the Rake meets the Bluestocking Readathon, and the hashtag for it will be Rake meets Bluestocking. And this will be January 13th through the 19th. We're going to get it kicked off as soon as we can, and we're going to have a great time for it. So very excited to be diving into this with all of you. And I'll just spend a couple minutes here going over everything, but I'll also have a link to more details about the prompts and everything like that. But there will be the option for, I pre-made 2 different boards. This time there is kind of like an easier and then a harder version of them. And then there, of course, is also a blank board if you want to make your own. And then, yeah, so you can pick whichever order you want to do them in. So I'll go over the prompts real quick, and if you have a question about anything, you can let me know. Otherwise, I'll go through that. I'll tell you what my TBR is, and then we will move right along with everything. So the prompts that we have are going to be read the Blushing Bluestocking Society pick, which I don't think has been announced yet, so keep an eye on Rachel and Lisa's social medias. I'll also share it here in my community page once they decide, but one of the prompts will be to read their pick. Then there, of course, is to read the Rake Appreciation Society pick. You can read either one or both, either one of them crosses off the prompt. And our two books are actually The Silent Duke by Jess Michaels and It Had to Be a Duke by Vivian Lorette. That one will work. The Silent Duke, which I'll get back to, actually hits a lot of the prompts. So those are two of the prompts. Then there is a fairy tale or myth retelling. Then we have 4 of the different time periods of historical romance. There are definitely other ones, but I picked the 4 that I think we see the most. So there's medieval time period, which this is an approximate. I'm not going to argue with anyone. I just went off of a few different collectiveness of things, but it's basically between 500 and 1482, I think is the year. I think I wrote down the wrong one, but around there. Anything before that is ancient romance. So this is medieval period. Then there is the Georgian romance period, which is 1714 to 1811. The Regency period, which is 1812 to 1820. And the Victorian period, which is 1832 to 1901. So each one of those is a different prompt that you could do. There is one for set in America. This can cover like the, Knickerbocker time right there, or any Westerns that take place in America, any of those ones. Highlander romance. And it doesn't have to take place in Scotland, but if it has like a Scottish Highlander in it, that works. One that is set outside the US or the UK. So that means one that's not in, I just said that. Any that's not in the UK or the US, which is Scotland, Northern Ireland, and the UK, any of those ones. So set outside of there. So any in France or Russia or Africa or South America, any of those ones, any place there, that will work. One that was released before the year 2000. One that was released in 2024. So basically a recent release. I know this will be in 2025, but we're doing it in January, so I don't know how many historicals are coming out before then. But yes, if you end up reading one that comes out, or that came out, that's fine too, but a recent release. A new to you author, an indie author, an audiobook, a book with a made man or woman, so they weren't raised in the aristocracy or for money, basically. An LGBTQ plus author or character, as a main character, if it's going to be a character. A main character with a disability. A Duke, Earl, or Viscount in the title. Or Marquess, I actually forgot Marquess in this, but it's basically any titled one right there. The book contains a Bluestocking or contains a Rake. Those are 2 separate prompts though. And then an arranged marriage. And finally, a BIPOC author or character. So those are all the different prompts. As I said, you can choose one of the boards. One of them is a bit easier, has some of the more common prompts on it. There's also one that has some of the tougher ones on it. And then there's a blank board where you can make your own. And I will have a link to a Google Drive that has all of those graphics down below. They will also be shared on my Instagram, and I'm sure the other hosts' Instagrams as well. So yeah, that is really kind of all to go over with that one. There's, nothing more complicated or whatever about that. There are no like reading sprints set up yet, but I will get those set up when we get closer. I've just been focused on Christmas and getting stuff ready for that and everything. But I'm so excited we have this planned. I can't wait to do it. I hope you'll want to participate. I've really missed us having historical romance readathons, and I think this is going to be amazing. So enough of that. Let's get into my other TBR for the month. And, I was going to go over mine. Sorry. Let me go over my TBR for the readathon, then we'll get into the rest of the TBR. So the ones that I have picked right now, I have 7 written down, but that doesn't mean these won't change, or I might add more to them. Of course, we'll see how many I can get through. So The Silent Duke is the one of the Rake Appreciation Society ones that I want to read, because The Silent Duke by Jess Michaels covers, it's the Rake Appreciation Society pick. It's a Georgian romance. It takes place in 1790s. It is a new to me author. It has Duke in the title, and the Duke has a disability. He is mute. So all of those work for that one, which is nice. Then I want to read A Class Forsaken by Susie Murphy, and I would do this one for indie author or audiobook. It works for that. I have those. I actually picked, I should tell you this, I picked board 2, so my prompts are focused on board 2. So I don't actually have an audiobook on my board, but it does have an audiobook. A Rogue in Texas by Lorraine Heath. I've been wanting to read this forever. This is her, I believe, her first book point blank, but if not, it is her first like cowboy one she wrote, and it even is like copyright under her like original name, which is Jan Nowalski, before like Lorraine Heath here. So this one came out in 1999, so it's before 2000. It takes place in America, and it has a maid woman in it. She's a powerful woman in her own right. So that will be one I try to get to. There is A Contracted Spouse for the Prize Fighter by Mary Coldbreath. This is the last one in the series I really want to get to. I have an audiobook for this one too. But this one has made men in it and a arranged marriage, basically. There is A Scandalous Spring by Sophia Nye. This one is an ebook one for me. And this one is a medieval time period. It's indie, and it's a new to me author. The Brazen Bluestocking by Tracy Sumner. This one would have Bluestocking in it, and it's a new to me author. I actually had Tracy Sumner actually reached out to me not too long ago, and she sent me a few of her books to try, and I actually already had 2 of them in my library and didn't even know it, but I've still never read her, so I really want to try reading her books. And then the last one that I have as a possibility is Her Wicked Proposal by Lauren Smith. And I actually own quite a few of hers, and I haven't got back around to them. I know they have audiobooks as well. And this one has a blind duke in it, or a blind, maybe I don't know if he's a duke or not. But yeah, it has a blind hero. And once notorious Rake. So this one will have Rake in it as well. So there is that one. And she's an indie author too, so there's that. So that is my TBR for the readathon. Okay, now that I've spent 15 minutes on that, now let's get into my January TBR outside of those. And boy, is there a hefty one. So of course, I'm going to go over the new releases, both ones I will read an arc for and ones that I'm just interested in. And then I do have a reading challenge that I have created for myself. Now, it's a soft challenge, but I did make myself a TBR Monopoly board just because I'm fun like that. Now, I did already do the rolls and everything because I didn't want to do those on camera, because this isn't a like hard and fast thing. I'll get into it when I like go into what the board looks like, but it's very much about like for me as a mood reader to pick things out. So each month when I spin that, I'll pick like 4 or 5 things from it, and those will be my fill-in books. Okay, they're books that I'll get to if I can. And for the most part, I aimed towards books that I already own, so they're physical copy books. But we'll get into it. So let's go through the arcs and new releases, because I was not fully aware of how many of these I was signing up for, because I've just been signing up for things in January and adding them to my list. And then when I was writing this down, there is so many. And I've even said no to, I think, almost 10 other requests for me to read arcs and stuff in January. Like, they start turning people away. I was like, I'm sorry, but I don't even know if I'll get to all these. But let's go through these here. There is Empire of Temptation by Mila Finelli. I have an arc for this one. Stealing Sunshine by Hannah Cohen. Very intrigued by this one. This will be a sapphic romance, and I should be getting an ALC of this one. So really intrigued by that. I've liked the previous ones in the series I've read. The Empress by Kristen Cass. I have this. I actually was lucky enough. Bloom sent me an ARC edition of this, and then just the other day I got the final copy too, which has some beautiful, like, it's hard to tell here because it just looks like it's shiny. You know, it just looks like that. But it's actually iridescent. I wonder if you can tell. It's like a pearly. So I now have 2 copies of these. So I'm probably going to do a giveaway for one of them. But yeah, the Empress is coming. I'm not going to go into detail about all of these because I've already talked for a long time and I want to get through them. And I believe in my anticipated read one, I talk a little bit more about some of these. So there's Visions of Darkness by A.L. Jackson. I'm looking forward to getting an audio for that one. Duke of Lust by Mariah Stone. I have an ALC of this. I did actually just barely start this ALC. I'll probably be listening to it while I'm finishing up Christmas presents. So this is a part of her, the 7 Dukes of Sin, which is very cheesy, but I'm also having a good time. The Proposal Play by Lauren Blakely. I just received both my e-ARC and ALC for this one. Really looking forward to this. I've loved both of the first 2 books in this series because it's in duet style, and oh shit, her audiobooks are always so good. Waiting on You by Nikki Ash. I have received ARCs for the previous 2 of these, so very sure I'll get it for this one as well. A Simple Life by Melanie Moreland. I do have the ARC for this one. I believe this is a small town, like maybe it's cowboy. I actually don't recall, but I know it's a small town romance from her, and I haven't read a small town Melanie Moreland before. I've either read a mafia, a suspense, or a like billionaire, so I'm excited for it. The Ice Out by Milla Miles. There's another one I forgot to grab. That's right here. I just received this one. Can you tell I was unprepared for this? This was sent to me. Oh, I lost the sticker. I don't know where it went, but this one is a second chance romance. It's a ice coach coffee, an iced hockey coach. See, there's a coffee shop involved in it. So this was sent to me by the author, and it's a second chance romance between a PhD student and a teaching assistant, and then a hockey coach. And I think one of his players needs to see a psychologist or something, or no, needs tutoring. One of his students needs tutoring, and he runs into an old flame who is the one doing it, which is cute. There will be The Broker by Nikki Sloan. I will be getting an ARC of The Broker. Restless Love by Willow Astor. I signed up for an ALC of that one, and this cover, guys, it's so pretty. Look at this couple. I'm so excited for that one. Just Like That by Lena Hendricks. We haven't been given the cover yet. I'm sure we will soon because it's only a month away, but I'm intrigued by this one because this will be the oldest brother of the Kings who's been kind of like the jackass of the group. Like, it's just true. He has been. So I bet this will be a good one. High Sticking the Heart by Marie M. No clue how I'll like this one. I assume that it's hockey romance based on the title, but this is one of those must-love audio ones that I just gave it a whirl. So I've never read this author before, and I have no clue, so I'm looking forward to giving it a go. Stolen Chances by Cleo Evans. I have not heard for sure if I'm getting this ARC, though I did sign up for it, and I did have an ARC of the first one, so hopefully. This one's supposed to be MMF, and I'm happy about that. I love finding those. Better Than Friends by Jill Chavez. So I do have an ARC of this one from Neck Alley, and I've never read a Jill Chavez, but my previous co-host of a podcast I did really loves Jill Chavez. She says her books are like comfort for her. And so at the time I signed up for this one, I signed up for this like 4 months ago. I assumed that I would have more time to get to it. So I'm not sure that I'll get to this Jill Chavez, but it looks really cute, small town. I think she has like low heat, but is like really cozy. So maybe we'll give that a go. There is Only in Your Dreams by Ellie K. Wild. I do have the ARC of this one, and this is a sports romance. Looks really cute, and that should be a good one. The Apple Tree by Julianne. This will be the one that comes after Sunday Morning, and it's about the younger sister of that heroine, so we'll see how that goes. So those are the ones that I'm signed up for ARCs for, or trying to read an ARC. Oh no, I fibbed. There's The Moon and His Tides. I had a second side of the list here. The Moon and His Tides, I signed up for an ALC. I'm going to read that one though, hopefully, whether or not I get an ARC, because Gianna Darling is finally telling this story, and I can't wait to read it. And then Between Smoke and Shadow by Bree Wild. I do already have the ARC of that one too. Okay, now other new releases that I still want to read are The Dryad Storm by Lori Forrest. With the full weight of books coming out that I have, I don't know that I'll get to this one right away, but I have been following the Black Witch Chronicles for like 5 years, so I will get to The Dryad Storm. I'll probably get an audiobook for it and take my time. The Way We Score by Tia Louise. It has not been confirmed if I'm getting an ARC of this one or not, so I put it on this list. But I did enjoy the first book in the series. Lessons with the Mothman by Catherine Moon. This is finally book 3 in the Monster Agency series, which I have loved. Games with the Orc and Hell for the Gargoyle. Onyx and Storm by Rebecca Yarros. Gonna dive into that as soon as I get it. I pre-ordered the audiobook. Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. Iron and Embers by Helen Schreier. I'm unsure if I'll be getting a arc of that one, but I did sign up for it with NerdFam. Pretty Broken Dolls by Bree Wiley. Again, not sure if I'm getting an arc of this. My friend Lizelle asked me to sign up for an arc of it. She straight up did. She said this is a debut author, and she really, really liked this book, and the author was looking for more arc readers, and so I signed up. Again, looking at the huge wall of books I have to get to, I hope I get to this one. I haven't been approved for it yet, but if she was looking for arc readers, I would assume I'll probably get picked, but we'll see. And then the last one is Stealing Hearts by Lex Martin. Now, this one I did not sign up for the arc, even though I was sent an email about it, because, again, I've had to say no to books. There's just too many. But this is the spin-off series from the Single Dad series that Lex Martin did. And this one I think is supposed to be, Small Town Cowboy. Maybe. Because I think that's how it connects. So I still want to get to it. I just don't know that I'll read it right away. But I may carry it over to February. We'll see. Okay, then for Patreon, just real quick, I have When He's Dark by Suzanne Wright. This was picked for Unrequited Love was the prompt. I will be rereading Chasing the Wild by Elliot Rose, East by Edith Bateau, Homestead by Claire Kent, In the Details by Jay Wolfe, and then Hills of Shivers and Shadows. And then I'll also be reading Autumn Nights by Willow Astor. And then there will be one more I have to do, but I don't know it yet because I'm actually giving away an annotated book for January. It is happening in my Patreon right now. One of my patrons gave away her slot in January as a gift. So it is going to be one of the giveaways that's on my Patreon. So anyone who is a member of the public or a member of my Patreon can sign up for that. If you'd like to know what all the fuss is about an annotated book, you can sign up to possibly win one. And whoever wins this will be allowed to pick any of my 6-star reads from the past. So go ahead and do that. I'll have the link down below. Okay, now this reading challenge that I spoke of. Let me show you my little TBR Monopoly. So this is my TBR Monopoly that I made because I was coming up with fun things to put in my bullet journal, and I used to participate in this thing back in the day called Romanceopoly. I really loved. And I thought I would make my own little version of it. So I made a Monopoly board, and I broke each section into a different subgenre. So I have mafia and dark romance is the light purple, fan fiction is teal, sci-fi and dystopian are pink, yellow is small town, blue is fantasy, and orange is sports romance. Okay, I made that its own thing. And then I made some different prompts in the, like community spaces or whatever. There's options like pick an audiobook from your book funnel, pick an audio from Audible Plus that you haven't read, read a classic, read an arc that you didn't get to before, reread a physical favorite, and then read an audiobook you've purchased but haven't read yet. So all of those are options on here. And then, like I said, these aren't going to be any hard and fast rules, except I'm trying to use it on books I already own. So either in my physical library, my audiobook library, or books that I've bought for like free on Stuff Your Kindle Days. So again, there's no super crazy thing about it. I'm just doing it for fun and to help me get through those books. So in doing so, under each one of these, I put 2 books that I own that will be my first choices for these. As I go through and complete some of them and check them off, then if I land on that square again, I'll pick one from like another one. But I started out with them all having just like ready to go choices there. Okay. So that being said, as I stated, I did do these rolls last night because I didn't want to do it on camera because, again, I'm not going to be stuck to anything specific. So I just did it for me. It was just for fun. But the books that got picked in here, we will go over. So for the first roll, I landed on Read a Arc That You Didn't Get To. And for that, I picked Hexed. I've heard really great things about this. I was so sad I didn't get to this one ahead of time. I only got the arc like 3 days before it came out, and I couldn't get to it. So I'm planning to get the audiobook for this one. And I mean, even Big Sis loved this one. And I feel like she hasn't liked it. Emily McIntyre she tried before. I mean, I like her, but I've heard great things about Hexed. So I picked that one for Read an Arc You Didn't Get To. Next up was, what did I roll next? Next, it landed on a sports romance. And for that one, it landed on winter. So that's how I broke these up. There was like summer sports and winter sports. And the first choice was The Rest of the Story by Tal Bauer, which I do have. This was a gift last year. And I want to read more of his. So here is the rest of the story. I believe there's an audiobook for this one too. He doesn't have audiobooks of everything, so that's difficult to get to some of those. Okay, then I spun again and landed on A Small Town Romance here. And that one that I wrote down was A False Start, which is the only Elsie Silver I haven't read yet. So I had that on the list. This is still the original cover. I will actually be getting, because The False Start, the new cover is actually on its way now, but I'll probably read this one because it's pretty. So I haven't read this one yet. So I grabbed that one. And then I also landed on a Read an Audiobook from Your Book Funnel. So my book funnel has both ARCs in there, or ALCs in there, as well as books that I got on Stuff Your Kindle Days, and things like that. So the one I ended up picking, I'm not going to look up what it's about right now, but I believe it's a billionaire romance. And the one I picked there was Bringing Out Her Bad by Blair Butler. And this one isn't too terribly long. I think it's only 6 hours, and it's a dark billionaire, I think. So I put that one on there. And then one final time I rolled the dice just to get 5 on here. And I actually ended up again on Read a Physical Arc That You Didn't Get To, which I'm more than happy to have gotten that one twice because I have too many. Okay, I'm ashamed at how many I still need to get to. So I picked back up Into the Fire here, which I'm so sad I haven't got to yet because I received a beautiful art copy of this. It's signed to me. The author even sent annotation stickers with, which I'm obsessed with. And then, yeah, this one came from Nerd Fam and the author. So I put this one on here as well. So those are my books I picked from my TBRopoly, and I'm not checking the boxes until the book is read and done because, again, this is just to help me get through my TBR. There's no punishments, there's no nothing, and also because it was fun. I really had fun making this. I had fun making a lot of those flat lays that I did. If you want more details on the flat lays, there's actually an exclusive video for my Patreon about them. But, and so you can see the different things I'm tracking and everything. But I just had really fun making this. And so I'm going to try to have it help me. And hopefully I can get through some of these on here. I think in total there's only 38 books like listed on this. And as I said, if I land on a space more than twice and read it, then I'll start picking, you know, I'll just pick another sci-fi if I've used up the sci-fi. But these are ones that I own physical copies of them. So, okay, so I hope that this TBR video, which I know went all over the place, makes sense, but definitely check out my Instagram post about the Rake Meets the Bluestocking Readathon. Again, I will put a link down below to a Google Drive with all the graphics if you want to get them for yourselves, or you can get them off my Instagram. I'll be sharing them on there, and I hope you'll participate with us. It'll be so much fun. So, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you had a wonderful Christmas. I believe this is going up after Christmas, but I am still gone on Christmas break. So I hope you had a wonderful Christmas with your family and friends. And yeah, I will see you in the next video. Bye.